Tonight, after 4 years of waiting, an iconic Toronto festival returns in a big way.
It's so cool to see all these people out, like this street full again.
The Taste of the Danforth is back. We take you live to Greektown, where the party is still rolling. Plus,
This was a very large fire, like you say, 6 alarm.
from 2 alarm to 6 alarm in just 60 minutes, we bring you the latest on the massive fire at a chemical warehouse in Etobicoke. And
the whole experience was just like awfully traumatic.
a woman's painful experience at a Brampton hospital is now prompting discussion about informed consent. Good evening, I'm Farah Morali. For decades, it's been an annual highlight of summer in this city, the Taste of the Danforth Street Festival. But the event hasn't filled the streets of Greektown since 2019. Tonight, it is back, and organizers say it is bigger and better than ever. Anam Kam joins us live from the Danforth tonight. Anam, even at this hour, the streets look pretty full.
Yes, they are very full. They're just beginning to wrap up, but I can still hear the music. I still see laughter, and they're just like filling and crowding the streets. The vendor behind me, their name is Ella's. They sold 3,000 lamb chops and Slovakis today, so that goes to show how much the demand is there. And you know, the festival didn't take place for a few years because of the pandemic. Last year they had some issues with Cafe Tio and bike lanes, but now that's sorted out. Everybody's here, and organizers are seeing this real pent-up demand for street festivals. Food and music are bringing Toronto's Greektown back to life. Thousands of people gathered Friday evening to kick off the 3-day festival.
It's an experience. It's part of Toronto. It's our heart. It's our blood. We look forward to it. COVID messed it up, and now we're back, better than ever.
And yeah, no, it's just cool to be cooking for all these people and seeing everyone happy eating the food. Yeah, no, it's honestly, it's a good energy. It's a fun place to be.
Organizers expect 1.5 million people to fill the streets for the Taste of the Danforth this year, a record attendance. And the streets are ready.
We have had to basically stage our festival with some new infrastructure in the road. We have some bike lanes that were introduced as part of a pandemic relief program. We have a Greek stage, we have a celebrity stage, we have performances in the neighboring BIA, the Broadview Danforth BIA, as part of their BD Beats program. So we have something for everyone. We're ready to welcome the city and the province to our little slice of heaven here in Greektown.
Among the huge crowds tonight is Mayor Olivia Chow, alongside other local leaders.
We miss the Taste of Danforth so much.
And the party has only just started. The streets will continue to be filled with music and food until Sunday. So the festival wraps up on Sunday, and road closures are expected until the early hours of Monday morning. So organizers are urging people to take public transportation because parking is going to be very difficult to find.
Some very good advice. Thanks so much, Anam.
Thank you.
Joey Bats is back in town. The famed slugger signed a 1-day contract, all so he could retire as a Toronto Blue Jay. The move comes ahead of a special ceremony that will take place at Rogers Centre tomorrow. Greg Ross has more.
It's an incredible honor for me today to offer a 1-day contract to Jose so that he can rightfully retire a Toronto Blue Jay.
A symbolic move by Blue Jays president Mark Shapiro, but a big one for Jose Bautista, who spent 10 seasons in a Blue Jays uniform.
10 years is a long time, so there are a lot of memories. So a lot of great memories, a lot of great relationships and connections made here. Obviously, I owe a great deal to this franchise. They gave me a chance, and I was able to accomplish a lot here. So I definitely was already in my head retired as a Blue Jay, but to make it official, it's kind of cool. And this way, you know, fans can have their moment too.
He gave Blue Jays fans many special moments during his time here, including one that stands out above all.
The 1-1 from Tyson. Bautista with a drive. Deep left field. No doubt about it.
That home run in the 2015 American League Divisional Series is one of the most iconic moments in Toronto sports history. Bautista says being a part of that team was one of his fondest memories. His only regret, not winning the World Series that year.
That was the one, obviously, we were the closest to achieving that. And I felt we had the most momentum because if you remember, we had a lot of great additions at the deadline that year, and we kind of caught fire and we were playing great baseball and our confidence was riding high. That definitely feels like the one that got away.
Bautista also had a 54 home run season with the Blue Jays. He was a 6-time All-Star, and he helped the team to the playoffs in 2 different seasons. Blue Jays broadcaster Buck Martinez says maybe his greatest accomplishment was putting the team back on the map after several years of mediocrity.
He deserves a lot of credit because he was a big part of why the team turned things around. He's so humble he would never admit it, but when he started to hit home runs, everybody started to fall in line and said, man, we can be good. And then his play in the outfield, I mean, that's something that we don't talk about enough because he was a tremendous outfielder with a great arm.
The other big honor for Jose Bautista this weekend is the Blue Jays will add his name to the level of excellence here at the Rogers Center. In fact, if you look up over my shoulder there, right beside Roy Halladay's name, you'll see the black curtain where Jose Bautista's name will be. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Popping outside for a live look at the city. Pretty cloudy right now, sitting at 22 degrees. Meteorologist Colette Kennedy joins us now with a first look at the forecast. Colette, truly a perfect summer day for the return of the Taste of the Danforth, but we shouldn't get too comfortable with this.
No, we shouldn't. I'm glad we snuck this beautiful day in there, a beautiful evening as well, because all we have to do is ask our friends and neighbors in southwestern Ontario about what's coming, because yes, there have been some thunderstorm, not just watches, but warnings associated with the warm front as it's been working its way in, started in the afternoon hours, carrying on this evening. And what we'll find is that we get into the overnight and those keep trucking eastward, coming towards the GTA. So we do have showers, some embedded thunderstorms in there as well for the overnight and morning hours. But then know that it gets pretty interesting as we go into the afternoon, because it's the kind of thing where you may think, oh, it's all over with if you're in one of those slots, the dry slots, where you even get some sunny breaks. And then we get the afternoon redevelopment of thunderstorms. So we have to really be watching for some active weather, and some of those being on the stronger side could have some really damaging winds, small hail, and certainly some heavy downpours in there as well. Winds, just the sustained winds, but even the gusts will be stronger as we go towards tomorrow morning in southwestern Ontario, and then really pick up, especially towards the Niagara region. But that's not with the thunderstorms themselves. In those cells, we could have gusts 80 or even 90 kilometers an hour. So big changes coming in our forecast. Some humidity going up tomorrow as well, Farah, and we'll take a look at the severe weather risk when I come back.
All right, thanks so much, Colette.
All right, thank you very much.
You may have caught some of the video from a huge fire earlier today. It all happened at a chemical warehouse in North Etobicoke and took more than 100 firefighters to contain the blaze. Dale McDuck was there and has the latest.
At around 2 in the morning, Toronto Fire was called to 35 Vulcan Street and met with visible fire. It was initially assessed a 2-alarm blaze, but went to a 6-alarm fire in just 60 minutes. The reason why? The warehouse, which is right near Pearson Airport, belongs to chemical distribution company Brentag. It stores motor oil, which helped accelerate the fire and create a thick black smoke.
This was a very large fire, like I say, 6-alarm. That is not too common, and that was, a result of the amount of product involved and just the geographic footprint. This is a very large building, so that is one of the reasons we have so many firefighters on scene.
More than 100 firefighters were on scene at the peak of the inferno, which was quickly downgraded back to a 2-alarm fire with just a couple dozen crew on scene. Toronto Fire says that the fire is 100% contained and that it will not get any larger. There was some concern earlier about the air quality, especially moving in a southeast direction, but that too has been assessed and is under control.
Toronto Fire has 2 what we call heavy haz teams. We had both our teams here early this morning because of the nature of the fire. We did air monitoring, we did water testing that was going down. No danger. Had there been danger for that, we would have put out advisories. The neighboring businesses on Vulcan Street are not expected to gain back entry today. The fire ruined various areas of Brentag's warehouse, but the distance between businesses left the others without any noticeable damage. The effort to contain the fire created a lot of water runoff that could potentially get into the sewers and water system. So Toronto Fire and the Ministry of Environment were on scene working to prevent any damage to the waterways.
Toronto Fire says they were still dealing with hotspots which prevented investigators from entering the building. They were able to do preliminary work outside, and Toronto Fire says they'll move forward when safe to do so. That investigation is expected to take several days. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
A man in his 20s suffered serious, potentially life-threatening injuries after a shooting in New York tonight. It happened just before 8:30 at Black Creek Drive and Weston Road. Police say they found a man at the scene suffering from a gunshot wound. He was rushed to a trauma center. There's currently no suspect in custody, but police say they are searching for two men believed to be in their 20s. One was wearing jeans with a gray hoodie with a black face mask. The other is described as wearing all gray clothing. The suspect vehicle is a gray-colored sedan. And one man is dead after falling from a balcony and landing on another man early this morning. It all happened at Lakeshore in Bathurst just before 9 a.m. Police say the man fell from a condo near a gas station. He was pronounced dead in hospital. The other man, who was hit on the ground, was also taken to hospital with critical injuries. Turning now to a story that has been dominating the headlines this week, the Greenbelt, and a damning report from Ontario's Auditor General on how the province selected sites for removal. Premier Doug Ford says he will not back down on plans to develop the once protected lands. Ali Chiasson looks at what, if anything, could still be done to stop construction.
Well, I think I admitted that the process could be a lot better.
It's the third day of mea culpa from the Ford government, days after an Auditor General report accused them of colluding with private developers to, well, develop portions of the Greenbelt. The Auditor General made 15 recommendations for the government to make it right.
We are moving forward on the 14 recommendations.
14, because the one thing they won't do is this: reevaluate the 2022 decision to change the Greenbelt boundaries.
We have two choices here. We can sit back and ignore Ontario's housing crisis like previous government, or we can build more homes. Homes of all types. Our government is choosing to build. Our government is choosing to get it done.
But is it truly a done deal?
Because the opposition was always there, but not on a large scale.
Organized opposition, paired with the probe the Integrity Commissioner is currently working on, will be hard for the government to rebuff. Affected communities can stall developments by refusing to rezone their farmland, but this poli-sci professor says they would need to offer alternatives.
Are the municipality in a good place to make some proposition? That's for them to see.
Let's go up a level of government. The federal environment minister addressed the AG's findings yesterday.
I have not had the opportunity to read the Auditor General's report. And if there are elements that are pertinent to the federal government in terms of an environmental impact, we will be looking at those very closely.
But the engine of advocacy on this issue is the coalition of environmental groups, such as...
I'm the executive director of the Simcoe County Greenbelt Coalition, which is a member of the Alliance of a Livable Ontario.
Making the housing minister's chief of staff the fall guy after the report said he was the primary liaison with developers doesn't do the Greenbelt justice in their eyes.
This was something that they had to sign off on to get royal assent. So as far as I can see, 30 members of the Ontario government are directly responsible for this.
They're encouraging people to call their MPPs and ask,
why did you sign this? What did you know? Did you know that this was going to benefit this? Did you know that you were taking this much from Ontario without a proper process?
One thing's for sure is this issue isn't a done deal. Along with the Integrity Commissioner's ethics review, the NDP has formally asked to recall the legislature to tackle this. Ali Chiasson, CBC.
Welcome back. A woman is calling for accountability after undergoing a procedure at a Brampton hospital. She says she understood that she'd be given pain management beforehand. But on the day of, she says that didn't happen. As Tyler Cheese shows us, her story is raising questions about informed consent.
It was quite literally the most excruciating experience of my life.
Terry Ann Paris says she's never experienced the kind of pain she felt while undergoing what she was told would be a simple procedure.
I have labored and birthed 4 children, and to say that I know what pain feels like, I know what pain feels like, but this was something that I could have never even imagined in my lifetime.
Paris was admitted to Brampton Civic Hospital 2 weeks ago with pain from a kidney stone. A few days later, she underwent the procedure in question to receive a kidney stent that would help manage the pain while she waited for an operation to remove the stone. She was told she would be given anesthetic or pain medication.
I was given no pain meds. I wasn't put under any type of anesthesia, and the whole experience was just like awfully traumatic.
Doctors telling her after, patients often undergo this procedure without the need for pain medication. But she says she didn't consent to that, even though she signed a hospital consent form. And experts say that's a problem.
Consent is not a matter of getting a signature on a piece of paper. That is simply fulfilling a minor legal requirement of hospitals and offices.
He says obtaining informed consent is a much more involved process that takes time that often is unavailable under the current demands of the healthcare system. But when it doesn't happen,
I can tell you with absolute certainty that this is a factor which leads patients to delay consulting hospitals.
healthcare professionals say to fix the consent problem, the system needs more resources.
We need funding to advance newer innovative models of care so that we can provide more efficient care in new ways that are perhaps cheaper for the system and better for the patient.
As for Paris, she wants people to see how larger systemic problems are impacting patients like her.
I think that it's just the whole system needs to change.
She's also calling on the hospital to take accountability for what happened to her. In response, the William Osler Health System says it offers a comprehensive patient relations process for addressing concerns and offering support. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Brampton.
If you filled up today, you may have felt some pain at the pumps. Gas prices have surged to a 9-month high. Prices jumped 2 cents a liter at gas stations across the GTA. Experts blame the increase on a recent rise in global oil prices. If you need to fill up ahead of the weekend, you may want to hold off until tomorrow. We could see a slight drop, but experts say prices will hover around the same mark heading into the fall. Let us go back to Colette now with a look at your extended forecast, Colette. So things are unsettled for tomorrow. How are things looking for the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, that's just it. We can get through tomorrow, and then Friday we get to have a bonus nice day into Sunday, sort of like today, although a few little isolated showers, but it's going to be much better than Saturday. So let's deal with what's coming for, it's not only tomorrow, but tonight, and of course you've already been seeing it in southwestern Ontario. So the severe thunderstorm risk, in general, it's a moderate risk from southwestern Ontario all the way to eastern Ontario and at least approaching cottage country, certainly up the 400. But there are a couple of areas where I see, well, at least one of the models really wants to bring in some potent storms as we go into the afternoon hours tomorrow. So if there was an area where I'd say there's a heightened risk for some of the stronger cells, it'd be pushing along the north shore of Lake Erie towards the Niagara region, and then perhaps just to the east of the GTA, and then stretching all the way towards the Ottawa Valley, especially just to the west of Ottawa and certainly down towards Kingston. So what you can expect, the things you see here, there'll be much more moisture into the atmosphere. It's going to be more humid into Saturday, strong winds, yes, some hail, and risk of isolated tornadoes. The possibility is there, all right? So as we move forward here, you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Some things, certainly through the overnight, we have some, but then bubbling up again early tomorrow morning, heavier stuff into eastern Ontario. That fills in a little bit. And then this is where, if you think it's over with and you go out on your boat or onto the golf course, it's things like that. I really want you to just stay aware and have a phone handy and know what's going on with the weather pattern, because these pockets in here where there's going to be some sunshine coming through, it's going to seem like, okay, that's all moved through if you're not paying attention. And yet it really can blow up as we go into those afternoon hours and get back into some much stronger storms. So, okay, we're going to stay aware and stay safe into Saturday. Sunday, a few isolated showers are possible. Some of this may dry up in the upper atmosphere, so I wouldn't get too worried about it. It'll be a nicer day for sure. Overnight temperatures cool in Ottawa, 11, 19 Toronto, 18 for Barrie, and 19 as well for the Windsor area. And then we go back to 26. Our high was 26 today in Toronto and in Windsor. But you know what? Tomorrow it'll be with humidity, so it's going to feel different. There you go into Sunday looking pretty good. And don't have complete agreement from the models into next week. Some want to take it cooler, some warmer. I was thinking positively.
Love that. Thanks. The Oakville and Milton Humane Society is selling its property and moving. But before that can happen, a large pet cemetery, the final resting place for more than 500 pets, will be excavated. Students from U of T's Forensic Anthropology program are helping to make sure no pet is left behind. Take a look.
Today is a big day. It's really the official start of an excavation that is, a long time coming, but also really special. It deserves great care. We have a pet cemetery here that's been in place for many, many years, and it needs to be excavated so that we can care for the remains and bring them with us to a new location for our shelter. We're going to properly excavate the site. We're going to keep track of and store properly all of the remains, and they're going to come with us into what will be a new memorial site at our new location. Really, the big challenge was for us to find a way to do this in the best possible way, giving the honor and dignity to these remains that they deserve. And I'm so grateful for the University of Toronto to be able to help us like this.
So after the remains are being excavated, we're documenting the whole process as it's ongoing. Once they are excavated, they will be kept on the facility or on the property until they have their new facility. And we'll be making sure that we are maintaining their proper level of preservation, looking after them, and ensuring that if the family would like to have the remains returned to them, that is the option that they have. The University of Toronto and all of our students are going to be doing everything we can to treat all of the animals with respect, making sure that they are being maintained, that they have their dignity, because everybody loves their pets, everybody wants to treasure them.
We really take it seriously, the responsibility of ensuring that these remains are properly cared for, not just today, but for the long term. For us, it's really a matter of accepting the responsibility to ensure that these remains are still cared for with dignity and good care, to take them with us and to ensure that they're honored for the long term.
Certainly is quite the undertaking. That is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Farah Morali. I will have your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. We will leave you with more of the sights and sounds from the Taste of the Danforth back this weekend for the very first time since 2019. Have a great night.